I'm really happy to be here with you all, kind of feeling thankful that we're able to meet, that the electricity is functioning, that the internet signals are working, that we allowed our time to stop in everything that's been happening today and dedicate a bit of time to ourselves as colleagues in the similar professions, as colleagues in coaching, mentoring, supervision, leadership. And I'm really delighted to be your guide today with you. And I'm really hoping that my colleague Sandra will join us along the way anytime when the internet service allows that. We've prepared some slides to walk you through the session and kind of provide with some visuals. And at the same time, we know that this is not about slides. It's a lot about us having dialogues. So there will be 3 large breakout rooms where you will have a chance to meet and to talk. But let me now start by sharing the screen. The miracle is here, and you can see our first slide and the title of today. And this is our belief and our hypothesis with Sandra that supervision is a journey of self-discovery. And today we would like you to join us in thinking and sharing the meaning of this, you know, what that means and how you see that. Before I continue, let me say something about myself and also introduce my colleague Sandra, who is the co-author of this dialogue. So I'm based in the Czech Republic, in the part in the north of the country, so very close to Poland and to Slovakia. So I'm happy to see some people from that region, but also I'm happy to see people from many other corners of the world, because I consider myself to be a globalist. I'm very happy providing my services to many countries and using English for that. Although it's not perfect, I hope it's good enough as a working language to do what we need to do today. By education, I'm a psychologist, and 10 years of my career I spent in PricewaterhouseCoopers as a consultant. And later on, I started my own practice as a coach, both in individual coaching and later also in team coaching. And I'm also a coach supervisor. And supervision is something that is connecting me with Sandra, who is my dear friend and also a colleague. And together we work in the International Center for Business Coaching. And supervision is our passion, but also it is not only our profession for providing this to our clients, but also we are researching supervision. And basically this session is also an opportunity for us learning through you a little more about this. Something short about Sandra. She's from Scotland, lives in St. Andrews, beautiful historical town or city, I don't know. Sandra is an excellent transactional analyst, and she is using TA in the field of organizations. So she's a coach and also a supervisor. And I already told you that she has a curious mind, as I have, and we together apply and do research things. So this is about us, and a few things as to how we connect and how we work together. We really hope that it's going to be a space for us working as colleagues. And after I tell you our offer, I hope that you will add something, how you see that. And Robin reminded us for the recording purposes And I also want to say that I will be very happy if you can add your thoughts as we go, and also capture the work that will happen in the breakout rooms in the chat, so that we have that knowledge and we can use it for other people, and maybe we can write it down and send it back to you. I have already mentioned that we are interested with Sandra in researching supervision as an essential part of self-development. We believe that supervision is a way for professionals to self-discover about themselves, and we believe that a journey of self-discovery leads into self-mastery as an ultimate, not destination, but as an ultimate process of becoming the best versions of ourselves with all the changes that are happening along. Okay, so here is our offer. We will be speaking about the steps that we can make on our journey to self-discovery, and you'll have a chance to think how you are doing your steps and how that is connected to self-harmony, achieving this state of being. We will also become aware or emphasize the power of the unconscious mind and how this clouds or illuminates our work. And we will speak about the role of supervision and how that is related to the journey of self-discovery. And here is my first quote from Muji. The journey to self-discovery is life's greatest adventure. And I want to share with you how that is in my case, that this journey of discovery is sometimes really scary and sort of risky and requires courage. And other times it's really pleasing and kind of joyful and elevating my spirit. So truly for me, that is a great adventure, sort of like going on the roller coaster, which for me, it's both exciting, but also nerve-wracking. And here is what we think with Sandra about the journey of self-discovery. And that's like a start for the next breakout room. We believe that for self-discovery, we all need self-reflection. And that takes place internally when we are reflecting with ourselves. So it is a form of a dialogue, but it's like two elements of ourselves talking to each other, but also it can be done in a true dialogue with another person, and this person could be our supervisor. And we believe that through this dialogue, we can actually move our practice from doing it, from applying some principles and using the tools, into becoming full people in our work with the clients. And we believe that the supervision really combines really nicely the intrapsychic processes of what's happening with us when we work with our clients, but also what is actually happening in internal processes in between ourselves and our clients. And this is a journey of forming and recreating and improving our identity with the ultimate goal, at least this is what we think with Sandra, of truly self-accepting ourselves. And we believe that this is more than just to have a self-confidence and self-efficacy, It's to accept and embrace who we are, and we surface, the unconscious into the process of being aware of that, and moment by moment using that and navigating our work with our clients. So this is what we think of a journey of self-discovery. And I hope that we are arriving to the exciting time when you'll have a chance to share, at first in the small breakout rooms, later in the big room, what does it mean for you to be on a journey of this self-discovery? So I'll ask Robin pretty soon to divide you into small groups. I thought that maybe 3 people, that would be really nice for the reflection and talking and for allowing certain intimacy in that. And please, you will have 12 minutes to do that. So go in depth, take it slowly. We know that self-reflection requires time. And also remember that one of you has a task, at least an invitation, that you can capture the key points from your discussion. And when we will get back into the big room, you can write and put down the main points. But of course, we will have a chance also to share in the big room. But writing in the chat would be really helpful as well. So before we break, do you have any questions around the question that I have for you?
I have one.
Okay, Patricia.
Thank you for, I'm just going to put this out there. I think it's kind of amazing, or it takes my breath away. I step back and think, here's a room full of people I don't know, and I'm going to talk about my self-discovery.
Wow.
I think that's asking us to go out on a real thin limb.
Thank you, Patricia, for bringing this. And I really appreciate you mentioning that and kind of maybe allowing ourselves, to appreciate that we are stepping into this space, and that before we do that, maybe we can do a little bit of contracting together. And later on, I ask you or suggest you do some basic contracting together. So before you start really meeting yourself as people and really taking it step by step, and maybe along the way and along the webinar today or the discussions, maybe we can increase, the level. But at the beginning, maybe let's take it from a relatively safe, or how to say, relatively work area related level. What does it mean for you to be on a journey of self-discovery? What do you understand by self-discovery? How that is related to your profession, as we are people who are coaches or mentors, maybe some are leaders. That would be my suggestion. And hope that's helpful.
Yes, thank you.
Excellent. All right. Any further questions, or you're ready to try that? Okay, I think it's time. So I wish you happy connecting, and then I wish you curiosity and courage to look for your answers about self-discovery. And I'll meet you in 12 minutes. Great. The Zoom magic is happening, and I hope you're safely arriving into the main room. And I wonder how was your session? And I'm opening up the dialogue. And thank you. First comments are arriving in the chat, but also please unmute yourself and let us know by hearing your voice. That's a possibility as well.
Can I start?
Yes, Sotiris, it'll be a pleasure.
Hi.
Thank you.
So you're in Czech Republic right now, right?
Yes, I am.
Enjoying the great weather in our country, eh?
Yes, it's a sunny day.
Yeah, for today. Okay, so what we were discussing with the two ladies, I have to take over and I have to be excused in half an hour because I'm meeting some students here in the school. Was
Okay.
that for us, one way to see ourselves is by being self-sarcastic. So we think that self-sarcasm is a high level of discovery and eventually a high level of self-awareness.
Uh-huh.
Can we be self-sarcastic when we have a client in front of us? I don't see why not. I mean, there are ways we can employ humor in a very developmental.
Absolutely.
One other thing we said, of course, is that this is a never-ending process and it is not necessarily related to delivering coaching and mentoring. It has to do with ourselves one way or the other. And one other thing we discussed was based on the latest book by Daniel Pink, The Power of Regret, where we believe that adhering to the principle of seeing the regret as a developmental process can help us through our route of self-discovery. So in a nutshell, this is what we were saying in this 10 minutes we had available.
Thank you very much. It sounds like a very productive session, and I was touched by the self-sarcasm and realizing how humor has different tones and levels, and how this is very personal, but how powerful it can be in our self-discovery.
Yeah, I think we all have a clown in ourselves, and it's just a matter of time to bring it out in the open.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Sotiris. I'm also aware that comments are coming into the chat, and I could either read them out loud or invite Rob or Patricia to voice it into the group, whichever you prefer.
I just wanted to thank Cindy and Susan, who was in my group, and a brief summary was just, it seemed we were all pretty much in agreement that self-discovery is a lifelong journey, and I think there was some consensus in the fact that working with our clients reflects back to us our own growth.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. And it sounds like you had a good session with the two other ladies.
I did.
Perfect. All right.
I don't mind. I can do ours. I can feedback.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate that.
So, but by coincidence, Kevin and I know each other. We didn't know we'd be on this together. So myself, Connie, and Kevin, each of these points really is an expression of our different perspectives and how we've come to this, and each point but kind of belongs to one person. And so Connie was sort of saying that it's around that developmental journey, that journey of self-discovery is around understanding how she sees herself and then how others see her, which I really liked. Kevin was talking about learning new things about himself through new lenses or perspectives or viewpoints that have been facilitated by another person, like a supervisor or anybody else. But that there was a provocateur somewhere in that mix of somebody to facilitate that thinking or viewpoint. And very much in my mind at the moment, because I've just changed contexts in terms of my work, and I'm reflecting on how that change in context and environment has sparked a lot of thoughts about, or a lot of self-discovery. You know, there I am, and I think, don't I know myself very well and how mature I am as an individual? And then my context and environment changes, and I'm like, do I know who I am anymore? So yeah, those were our thoughts. We had a lovely chat, and thank you both.
Thank you very much for sharing and bringing all the perspectives. You made me laugh a little how you describe with the changes outside, and how that constantly brings us into pondering what's happening, whether it is me changing or the world is changing, and how that is connected. Okay, so I'm also seeing that another comment arrived, and I'm very sorry for my colleague that I cannot pronounce her name correctly. Shoban is the best way I can try, but if you would like, you can also unmute yourself and share with us.
Thank you, Radomira. Yeah, Siobhan, that's perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, I think I certainly agree that self-discovery is a roller coaster, as you say, and yeah, we get to know ourselves quite well on the lows and also the highs sometimes. I was also intrigued by the other person's comment about self-sarcasm. I'm going to have to think about that. So I love talking up in our group as well. I also have to reflect on this one, that before you start on the journey of self-discovery, it can seem quite self-indulgent, for people who are very busy and all of that. But then that evolves into humility once you do start on the journey. I thought that was a really beautiful reflection. And the second thing we talked about is openness. Like, in order to be on the journey to self-discovery, one has to really be open to everything, like other people's backgrounds, other people's reflections, readings, lessons, challenges, nature, everything really. And everything you come across then really forms part of that tapestry of self-discovery. So thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing. It's been touching to hear the way you're describing it. And I really like how you emphasize the openness. For me, self-discovery is really close with the metaphor of kind of opening our eyes, not only physically, but sort of the eyes that we have within ourselves. So I like how you connected that. Excellent. So before we move on, I'm now giving the chance, perhaps if there is any further comments to be mentioned on the chat, or perhaps there is one more person secretly hoping that he can also share on behalf of the group. And now we have that chance. And I don't see a raised hand.
Tim had his hand up. Tim's
okay, thank you, Patricia. Tim, are you willing to share with us on behalf of your group?
Yes, we selected a different person than myself, but nevertheless, if you think that I lifted my hand, okay, it was not my hand, it was probably somebody else's one. But no, I myself have been thinking now about how important it is to have a true discovery. And I found in my own life that very often someone else, like a supervisor, helps me to discover myself more, because it is a question of being within a system. So it is a systemic thing. Every time I feel that I have discovered myself, maybe it would be best to see that somebody sees me in a similar way. That's why I feel that supervision is so important in everybody's journey.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. Although your microphone changed the volume during the time you were talking, we could still hear you. And I'm glad that, again, you're bringing supervision into the game. And I also hope that perhaps in other groups you mentioned that as well. So thank you. And now I would like to move on. And I will share my screen again to move us and maybe provide some more food for thought. And this is a concept that we are creating with Sandra around how we can actually be reaching our self-mastery. And this is the awareness cycle, and we are using a metaphor of a spiral. And I would like you to hear out, our thoughts and later on talk it through in the breakout rooms. So the awareness cycle, we think, is a way to explain how we are reaching self-mastery through certain stages. And the first one we tend to see as self-discovery. And this is a process of finding new things, of learning about ourselves, discovering things, and getting some material. The next stage, we believe, comes after we discover these things, because we have some material, we discovered something, and now we can use it in order to improve the knowledge of ourselves, of who we are as human beings, our beliefs, our behavior, thoughts, feelings, actions. So, you know, thanks to our courage to discover, now we see and understand more, and not only what is visible, but also surfacing what's unconscious. And there, a role of supervision is really great, because so much easier to discover your unconscious processes in a dialogue with others than to do it on your own. The third stage is self-development, which means that if I know myself better, I'm in a place where I can use it for making myself better, for improving, for using my awareness to something good. So I am in a situation where I can apply it in my practice, but also in other interactions in which I am. And a repetition of self-development is, according to how we see it, leads into self-mastery. And this is not a destination. We tend to think that it's really a process that's happening all over again, because as we are developing, others are developing, and the context is changing and the world is developing. So basically, we are never done with that. And our self-mastery can bring us back into a new hypothesis, and we are going to discover something about ourselves again. And we believe that self-mastery, if it is applied into our practice, it's a certain value of never stopping, this fragile process of understanding who we are and what's happening with us moment by moment, with what's happening with the other people around us, for example, with our clients, and taking that into our understanding and adjusting the way we're behaving and we're treating. And it helps us to be both spontaneous and free, but also very knowledgeable and aware of what we're doing and where we are drawn to and for what reasons. So this is how we tend to think about the awareness and how that can be used for our self-mastery. And I would like you to have a chance to think about how you see this process, and even more so, where are you right now in this moment of your practice in terms of the awareness cycle? Maybe you are just discovering something new. Maybe you're boosting your self-awareness. Maybe you're heavily in the process of self-developing. Or maybe you're enjoying a moment that right now you think this is like this equilibrium of self-mastery, and very soon it may come again into self-discovery. So my question for you guys for the next breakout is, if you can get together and think, where are you on this cycle of awareness? And probably, how did you get there? What is helping you? What are the ways of the process that we can call the awareness process. So we hope to have the same breakout groups in order to have it smooth and maybe expand on your previous discussions. And before Robin sends you magically into these, I wonder whether you have any questions, any comments in the big group. And let me see if there is anyone wanting to speak out, or maybe something in the chat. I don't see that. Rob, you have a question or a comment?
Yeah, no, I guess a question. Yeah, a question. So we talk about self-discovery or self-awareness as a kind of homogeneous kind of whole, and I wonder if that's true. I wonder if we have great self-awareness in some domains, but poor self-awareness in others, for as an example. I don't know whether that's worth just a quick discussion.
Yeah, and I think maybe the doubts that you're expressing, that can be something that you could observe with the others, and try to maybe think, okay, what can help us to again see more whether we are self-aware or not. And perhaps supervision is one of the ways where I can bring my doubts, what I am being self-aware and what am I be missing, for example. Does it make sense? Okay, thank you. And I think, Robin, we are probably ready to be divided.
Can I just say there's a couple of people have dropped out, so I've rejiggled room 4, which had 2, it has now got 3.
Okay, hope it works for you. If you prefer not to enter the breakout room, that's okay. There is a possibility as well, but I would like you, to enjoy the dialogue and sharing. So again, maybe for this 10 minutes, would that be sufficient? All right, looking forward to see you and hear about the ways you're using for increasing your awareness. So welcome, and I'm curious if you can share with us anything from your discussion, any bits and pieces, just to get the sense, how it was for you and what are some interesting points. But now over to you, and I'm curious about the pictures, if you have any interesting thoughts on that. And I'm checking who is ready to share by unmuting or maybe waving your hand. And I will, oh, Siobhan, thank you.
I can go for it. It was funny because one image really stood out, and I made the assumption everybody would pick that image because it's so obvious. But that wasn't the case, I think. Yeah, the image that popped out very vividly, and I tried to ignore it as well, was the onion. And well, yeah, I think there's lots of symbolism in that, the many layers of an onion. And as you peel the layers, it can bring tears to your eyes. So there can be, as you go deeper within yourself, there can be crying involved. And the other thing is that it can be used, an onion itself can be used in very, very many different ways, different shapes and sizes and tastes and everything. And I think that's also a point that, trying to do so many things. And then I think it's kind of like trying to do so many things on the horizontal plane while going deep into the layers on the vertical plane, and trying to do both of those at the same time is actually a very challenging thing to do. So that's as far as I got.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I really appreciate, and I also that Patricia, interestingly enough, also have been drawn to the onion. So I wonder if others are willing to share with us, and maybe we can see whether today is the onion day, or maybe there were other images that were appealing to you, just to see the variety. So if you're willing to share, my curiosity is really high. Either you can put it in the chat, or you can, of course, unmute yourself and share with us.
I chose that, you know, the little naughty puppy. He's
Okay.
He's a little puppy and he looks a little bit guilty, as though he's just done something wrong. And because I was reflecting on the kind of Carl Jung stuff about conscious and bringing unconscious into conscious. And I feel that I do that a lot through various kind of reflective processes, through supervision, through the work that I do. So for me, it was less about unpeeling the layers and more about knowing what was underneath. So I think I've got many opportunities to understand what my unconscious mind is doing and the drivers that it is and the way that it's driving me. And so for me, it was more about a kind of acceptance and commitment kind of position. And so the little tiny doggy who's looking embarrassed that he'd done something wrong, that's kind of what chimed for me.
Perfect.
Yeah, I was then having additional thoughts about, oh, it's a very young dog, isn't it? So that's interesting that I'm characterizing myself as kind of very young, like a puppy, rather than a kind of mature, experienced professional, or educated professional. So there was lots of symbolism in there for me. It was good. It was fun. Yeah. Thank
you very much for sharing, Rob. And I like how you say that you can continue now, that there is lots more, you know, that you can be playing around and discovering. And thank you also for the others who are sharing about the old ship and firefighter and the butterflies. So yeah, please, if you're willing, share with us your images. And also I invite maybe one more person to share with us all if you feel like it. That would be really nice. But I'm aware of the time as well, and maybe you're being impatient for me to really finish as I agreed to finish. So I just leave you with your images and with the process of how you can be using these with some good questioning. And just wrap up. And I hope that you see the images once again. And this is basically the conclusion of our session about supervision as a journey for self-development. We would like to argue with Sandra, and I hope she's connected to us, although she's not here, that self-reflection is really useful, but it is not enough, as we believe that there are things that are much easier to discover when we are in a dialogue with others. And I really hope also the breakout rooms tested that a little bit, how different it was when you had your witnesses, when you had people that reacted to you, that asked you questions, that hold the space for you. And I think we had our experience of testing how that is when we enter into the space of vulnerability. And I think the first question from Patricia really helped me to become once again aware how fragile we may be when it comes to self-development, and how strong we are when we start the journey. And I also hope that you got your taster of the process of surfacing our unconscious through the symbols of pictures. And I do have in my presentation a poem for you, and I will send you the slides, and I hope that you will enjoy the poem. Sandra was to read the poem with much better English than mine is. So I will allow you to read it in your English and enjoy it as another channel how we can experience something that's deeply inside of us. And the end of this webinar, I think, is to be open to the idea of moving in on our journey into reaching that direction or orientation of self-mastery as a way of being really fit for our clients, whatever this means to you in your own interpretation. So this is the poem, and it's poem by Patricia Nelson. And we don't have time to read it, so let me just do this and maybe finish with few points of your reflections and your feedback. If you can share that in the chat as a way of saying goodbye to each other, that would be nice. And I will stop sharing so that we can see each other. And I hope we have 2 minutes to wrap up by either reading or hearing your voices about this session, about what is new with you right now after talking to your colleagues and maybe hearing my and Sandra's thoughts on the journey of self-discovery. Thank you, Rob, for appreciating the connection and reflection and for sharing. Excellent. Okay, so I'm really grateful for the time that I could spend with you, and I'm wishing you all the best in your professional practice, but also in your lives. And let's see each other on another GPS dialogue series or any other events organized by EMCC Global. It's been a pleasure to be here, and thank you very much, Nicola and Robin, for your help. And big thanks to Sandra, who co-created the presentation, but really let me enjoy it on my own. So over to Nicola and Robin for wrapping up the session and maybe opening the networking part. And I'm seeing Alfonso, that maybe you have a comment or a question.
I was just seeing you off. Thank you very much for being here. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate your time and your input. So Robin, Nicola, what is it to say at the end before you open the networking session?
I would like to say a big thank you to you for handling it on your own, which was something visited upon us by the technology of St Andrews. So we'll have to hope that next time Sandra will be with us. So thank you very much, Radka, for doing that. I'll leave a pause for people who want to leave, and then I'll open random breakout rooms if you want to do a bit of networking.
Thank you, Radmit. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Goodbye,
you.
everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody.